Hello.
What's up, bitches?
Welcome back.
How you doing?
You started that with way more energy than me.
That's the honestly though, that's the dynamic of our friendship.
Yeah.
I usually come at things with a lot more energy than you.
Let me sit up. Let me get into it.
I do be kind of golden retriever energy half the time. This is the second one. So last week you guys heard about, and this is in theme with what we were just saying, or what I was just saying. Last week you guys heard that we were like doing a quick impromptu road trip. Mm-hmm. That was literally decided like yesterday. Like the day before we went on said trip. Okay,
like 7 o'clock.
Yeah, because I'm sitting at dinner like, you want to go do this? And she's like, and I'm like, let's go do this.
Well, at first I was like, logistically, this is horrible. But then we like figured out a solution, and we're like, okay, these are what we can record in the car to save us time when we get back. These I will throw up if I have to sit here.
10 out of 10 was like, this sounds like a manic decision on my half.
Sitting in that traffic, I 100% would have thrown up.
Yeah,
I would have been doped up on Dramamine.
Was my driving as bad?
No. Okay. My only issue is just the braking.
She 10 out of 10 was like already
we just made it to the gas station and I was like, I'm going to throw up.
10 minutes down the road, she was like, why stop at the gas pump? She's like, and I'm like, what? Well, no, already?
It wasn't like really a sigh. It was like ugh.
I was like, already? 10 minutes down the road, you're already giving me shit about my driving. It was
more of my stomach lurching.
Anyway,
then like me being
I was even trying to be mindful of my braking, honestly.
It did, but I will say, like, it's like stop and go traffic is going to do that anyway. But because like one time I went to Hendersonville and rode in the back seat, and when we got there, I said, y'all mind if I sit up front when we get back? And they go, oh, I forgot you get car sick. And it was like stop and go for like an hour. And I was like, if we stop and go one more go,
a Chinese road fire drill in the middle of the road,
I'm going to barf.
Hey, I'm just here to put y'all on something. If you're the type of person that does like water flavoring, like the pouches, or even like Mio's, Walmart has the Great Value brand of like a Mio in a green apple. Girl.
Is it good?
Oh, so good.
I'm not big on green apple though.
I love green apple.
Daniel would like it, but
the watermelon is also quite tasty.
I like that it's colorless.
It is. Not all of them are, but this one is. The only thing I don't like about it being colorless is I can't tell how much I've put in.
That is true.
So I have to like, you son of a bitch. I just dropped my cap across the room.
I was going to say, did it go rolling under the door?
No.
All right. So this is our spooky New York episode. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and get the elephant in the room out of the way.
Not the elephant.
I will not. Because I was like, let me look at a list of like, is what I like to do is I like to find lists. Like I usually do multiple lists. And then I will find like, what's the most haunted places in these states. Okay. You good?
Yeah, I was trying to, you said elephant in the room, but there was a conversation that I had with somebody else. And it was like not an elephant. It was something else. And it was
something weird.
Hilarious.
Oh, okay.
Because it was relevant to whatever story, and I was going to share it because it was funny.
But, so I like to go get these lists. I think I've explained this process before. And then I'll make a list in my notebook, and then I'll highlight it. And then whenever we circle back around one day, I have a list already compiled. Well, you go to my go-to website, right? And I'm going through and I'm writing down my little list. And what do I see? And instantly, I'm annoyed. So, I will not be talking about the Amityville house. Because I don't believe that it's haunted. And at the very least, the stories have been wildly over-exaggerated. I believe that the Warrens were frauds. And that this story has been told to death elsewhere if you want to go hear it.
Damn,
You're not going to hear it here. You're not going to hear it here.
Out of the gate.
There is one more mention of this house in this episode. And trust, It is not what you think it is.
Listen, TJ saw it in person, like just drove past it one time when he was in New York and sent me a picture of it. And like, I didn't even know what it was at first. And like, it didn't give me vibes.
No. So, and I also want to go ahead and forewarn that this is probably going to be a bit of a lengthy episode. At least on my end, it is going to be very history heavy. I'm going to tell you about the ghosts and all that good stuff, of course. But I just want you to know that we're going to be diving headfirst into some incredibly historic places. And I personally love getting the backstory of these places, and that kind of tells you why they may be haunted. And I really hope that you all do too, because I'm going to do it anyway. And then I also want to go ahead and put some content warnings in here, as I will be discussing some events that include just topics of war, suicide, murder, slavery. There is a brief mention of child abuse and other disturbing topics that may be uncomfortable for some. And I'm going to try and get a little bit better, because I've in the past few, I'm like, these are kind of heavy. I should be saying something beforehand. And then if I catch it, I try to put those in the description, like at the very top of the description. But these will also be in the description, but I just want to go ahead and get that out of the way. When I tell these like historical stories, I mean, it's history, it's bloody, it's, but I just want to make sure that I'm being a little bit more diligent. So, do you have anything to add before we,
No.
Yeah, I'm going first, right?
Yeah.
Okay. In Thiels, New York, Letchworth Village was established in 1911 and was created as a forward-thinking institutional community for individuals with developmental disabilities ranging from infants to the elderly. Named for humanitarian William Pryor Letchworth, who advocated for better treatment for the marginalized. Designed as a self-sustaining farming village, it was meant to replace high-rise asylums with low-rise cottages and was spread across 2,300 acres. The patients worked the land, cared for the livestock, and crafted toys. Despite these lofty ideals, much like many of the other institutions that we have talked about of the time, it quickly became severely overcrowded very early on. The growing population also strained the resources, which resulted in neglect, both physical and sexual abuse, and other serious failings. During the 1950s, the institution played a key role in early polio vaccine testing, with experimental doses to children residents under the care of Dr. Hilary Kaprowski and Dr. George Jervis. During the 1960s and 70s, the scrutiny on institutional mental health care was heightened. The facility became the poster child for systemic failures, which culminated in a nationwide push toward deinstitutionalization. A high-profile expose, which I've seen clips of this, by Geraldo Rivera in 1972, highlighted these dire conditions, which galvanized reform and public outrage. The facility, however, wasn't closed until 1996, and the remaining residents were relocated to community-based settings. Since that time, many of the buildings have been left to decay. There is a cemetery off-site that contains over 900 unclaimed residents that were there from 1914 to 1967. And all are marked only by numbered steel posts. There is one more recent cemetery that is still in use today. And in 2007, a memorial stone was erected to honor those buried at the older cemetery that does have a list of names.
Erected.
Portions of the property have been redeveloped, which includes a golf course and a veterans memorial park. Some of the buildings were repurposed as offices, recreation centers, a school, but others remain abandoned. Reports of ghostly activity include cold spots and sudden temperature drops, even in the middle of summer. Unexplained screams and footsteps, door slamming in empty hallways, just to name a few things. There have been reports of wheelchairs and gurneys moving on their own in the old medical building, and there has been a shadowy figure dubbed the caretaker that has been spotted wandering the halls with a set of keys, only to vanish when approached. There are many spirits here believed to be the children who died here from neglect, and they are often referred to as the lost children. They have been heard laughing and crying, and sometimes it has been reported that they have been seen reaching out to visitors seeking comfort.
Oh.
Yeah. One wing of the facility was used for more aggressive patients and is called the Screaming Ward.
Nope.
And is known for blood-curdling screams and even the sound of chains being dragged.
Mm-mm.
There is a local legend that says there is a cursed chair in the admin building. And it goes that anyone who sits in this chair is reported to suffer from sleep paralysis, nightmares, and terrifying visions for weeks after.
No, thank you.
No, yeah. I was like, I don't need to sit in that chair. Suddenly standing room only. The basement of the medical building is widely considered to be the most terrifying part of the property. Visitors to this area are said to experience intense feelings of dread and nausea upon entry, and have spotted shadowy figures darting between the basement columns. Several ghost hunting groups have said that this area is a hotspot for EVPs. A team from Paranormal Files, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the show that was the Penn State group that would go around. And that guy, I think his name was Ryan, ended up being, like, not a great person. But a team from Paranormal Files reported being followed by cold gusts of wind, and they captured EVPs of whispered "Help me."
Ew.
A former security guard claims to have seen lights flickering in buildings that do not have electricity, and one urban explorer reported having someone tug on their backpack, only to turn and discover that no one was behind them. The Ghost Adventures team also investigated the location and reported EVPs, including one that sounded like a child saying, "I'm cold." They also had motion sensors triggered repeatedly in empty rooms, as well as thermal cameras detecting unexplained heat signatures that would move in a pattern that resembled human movement. It is worth noting that the property is patrolled, and violators of the no trespassing signs may face fines or arrest. There are some structural hazards, and many of the abandoned buildings are unstable, with floors and ceilings collapsing without warning. Local residents warn to stay away, especially at night, and claim that, quote, "some things just don't want to be disturbed." Dun dun dun.
Right.
I gotta throw a dun 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 in there every once in a while.
Hold on, sorry.
Are you good?
Yeah. Okay. So, as per usual, I would have thought this being New York, I was going to find some crazy laws. Okay. There was a lot, but there wasn't as much as I thought. So I'm going to read some. Flirting in public can technically result in a fine up to $25. So, is it worth it? Let me work it. Put the thing down, flip it, and reverse it. A permit is required before hanging clothes out on a clothesline. In Carmel, a man is prohibited from going outside wearing mismatched jacket and pants. You know what? Get a woman.
Who's to say it doesn't matter?
And get a woman. She's going to dress you. It's fine. Making a rude gesture by placing your thumb to your nose and wiggling your fingers at others is not allowed. So, like, as I was reading this, I did like this, and then like this, and I was like, wait, what? And then I realized it's talking about this.
Boo-boo.
Yeah. In Brooklyn, donkeys are not permitted to sleep in bathtubs. During concerts, it is illegal to eat peanuts while walking backwards on the sidewalk.
All right, then.
So, but here's what I'm thinking. You're in a group of people and you've got that one person that's walking ahead of everybody, but you're all trying to have a conversation. So they just turn around and they kind of walk backwards while they're talking to you.
Yeah.
But I don't know where the peanuts come from. And also, let's just not walk backwards because that's kind of dangerous.
Yeah, it is kind of dangerous.
Anyway, teaching a pet parrot to talk is allowed, but training it to squawk is prohibited. In New York City, shaking a dust mop out of a window is against the law. Fair.
Yeah.
Throwing a ball at someone's head purely for amusement is illegal. Also fair. Jaywalking is allowed, but crossing streets diagonally is prohibited. Wearing slippers after 10 p.m. is not permitted. Brittany, you'd be going to jail. On Staten Island, lawns may only be watered if the hose is held in your hand, so you can't have sprinklers. Elevator etiquette is legally enforced. Riders must remain silent, face the door, and keep their hands folded. I feel like that's more for safety. Honestly.
Yeah.
New York City housing law generally prohibits more than 3 unrelated individuals from living together in a single dwelling unit, with limited exceptions. Certain public performances are restricted. Climbing or scaling the exterior of buildings as a form of entertainment is illegal. And puppet shows from windows or storefronts are prohibited without proper licensing, partly to prevent sidewalk congestion.
Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
So, you can go on to your next one.
When silent films arrived in Syracuse, New York, Salina Street was home to several theaters, but the newest and most grand of them all was the Loew's State Theater. Marcus Loew attempted to purchase another one of the theaters in the area, but the negotiations fell through, and instead, real estate developers found him the site on the northwest corner of Salina Street, which had been occupied by the Jefferson Hotel. Architect Thomas Lamb was commissioned for the new project, and the plan was for this theater to house 3,000 seats and an 8-story office tower. $1.9 million later, and $1.9 million and 1 full year later, on March 15th, 1927, ground was broken and construction began. So they had to spend $1.9 million before they even started construction. And involved more than 300 workers and cost $1.4 million more. In just over 11 months, the theater was ready. Opening day was February 18th, 1928, and the theater was advertised as the last word in theatrical ornateness and luxuriousness. By mid-morning, hundreds had begun to gather outside the theater, and the admission price was 25 cents. For more than a year, the Lowe's showed silent films only, but its first talkie was The Broadway Melody, and it premiered on March 30th, 1929. The 1930s and through the Great Depression, the theater persisted and had some of its best years. In 1933, the Lowe's presented its first public demonstration of television, which that feels very much like training your replacement. It hosted double features, and around the same time began to screen films in color. In the 1940s, there was an abundance of war films produced, which were also accompanied by newsreels that patrons would scrutinize to see if they could catch a glimpse of friends or relatives in uniform. Veterans were paraded across the stage, and intermissions were devoted to the sale of war bonds.
Listen, so that right there, like how they would look for their loved ones or whatever on screen, I bet that's like you're just dying to see, you know?
Oh, yeah, just to make
10
sure
out of
they're
10, I started
alive.
watching a World War II documentary a couple weeks ago just to see if possibly maybe I could see my grandfather in any of it.
Yeah. After World War II, staffing, maintenance, and tax costs soared, which had a majorly negative impact on the theater, and soon Lowe's Corporation began to diversify and led to the perception that downtown theaters were nothing but a corporate liability. The theater reduced staffing, maintenance, and systems upgrading, and inevitably, mechanical failures were abundant. And the decorative fabrics, walls, because if you go, I could have done a far deeper history of this place because one of the sources that I have linked, like describes what this place looked like. It was stunning, stunning. But the decorative fabrics, walls, carpeting, and seating, which had once been so well maintained, were vandalized.
Aw.
The 1400 pipe Wurlitzer organ became defunct, and after 10 years, it was sold, and its components were crated and later installed in Stanford Theater in Palo Alto, California. In 1967, the parent company for Lowe's announced the closing and possible demolition of the theater, and at the same time, its neighboring theaters were being demolished for a new retail development. City officials and cultural organizations banded together in an effort to save downtown's last and grandest theater, but county officials instead voted to approve the building of the John H. Mulroy Civic Center on Montgomery Street. Instead, they gave a reduced tax assessment in exchange for the pledge to continue operation, which kept the theater open. And it began to feature lower quality shows and was a direct competition with TV. The mid 1970s saw the Lowe's again announcing its closure, and threats of demolition loomed while once again community leaders, city officials, and cultural agencies established a committee to ascertain whether the community could acquire the theater. On May 21st, 1975, the Citizens Committee to Save Lowe's was formed, but unfortunately it was too late, and the very next day the theater officially closed. The beautiful chandelier designed by Louis Tiffany for Cornelius Vanderbilt's mansion was sold on June 4th, 1975. And on July 9th, the Syracuse Area Landmark Theater, or SALT, was established as a nonprofit to attempt to acquire and preserve the theater, and the city of Syracuse offered tax rebates to assist in the process. And on July 14th, 1975, the theater reopened. To make a very long story short, thanks to some elbow grease, long hours, fundraising efforts, the theater reopened and became a venue for stage events, and revenue from individual memberships increased. The theater is still in operation today, and their website boasts that today they have the strongest staff they've had in decades. And it once again looks stunning. It's a gorgeous theater. Not mentioned on their website though that I could find on my first search was the spirits that are said to be around the venue. And one of the most well-known stories is that of a woman named Clarissa. It is said that Clarissa plunged to her death from the balcony and she has remained at the landmark ever since. It is now known as the Landmark Theater. I don't know if I mentioned that. Staff have claimed to have seen her spirit wearing a white dress.
No.
And is often associated with the scent of lilacs in her wake. Trust me, this is not our last lady in white.
I figured.
Some have reported that she actually appears to be princess-like as she roams the halls. She is also blamed for the Arctic blasts of cold air that is often... and she is often also spotted sitting in a theater seat. She isn't alone in the theater, though, and there are reports of another spirit named Oscar, who is thought to have been her lover, who also tragically met his end in the theater.
Where do they come up with these names?
I don't know. It is thought that the reason Clarissa fell to her death is that she witnessed the man she loved, who was a stagehand, accidentally get executed on stage.
Shit.
There have also been reports of a night watchman and his dog, but I couldn't find any other But to my knowledge, there are no historical documents or records to back up the stories of Clarissa and Oscar. Generally, what I've seen, like, because I've watched like ghost hunting shows for years, millennia, if you will. And a lot of times they get these names from like psychics they've brought in, or they have like seances or whatever, and that's usually how they get their names. Sometimes there are historical records to back
right.
up, but in this instance, it doesn't seem so.
All right, so back to the laws. We have parachuting within New York City is illegal unless it's done in an emergency or as part of an official military activity.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I would not want to parachute into New York City.
No. Selling baby chicks or rabbits that have been artificially dyed or colored is illegal and can result in serious penalties, including jail time.
Good.
Importing cat or dog fur into the state is prohibited and can lead to significant fines, especially for repeat offenses. Taking photos while in direct contact with large wild cats, such as lions, tigers, or leopards, is illegal. I was going to say, I bet you were waiting for bears. Is illegal under the so-called tiger selfie law.
Okay.
Adultery remains a criminal offense in New York and is classified as a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail, although there have been recent efforts to repeal this law.
I guess that's yeah. Because, like, how are we regulating that?
Right. While not outright banning conversation, laws in the subway system restrict approaching or engaging passengers in ways that can be considered harassment. Meanwhile, people are getting stabbed. A now defunct law once prohibited carrying ice cream in your pocket on Sundays, originally intended to prevent horse theft.
Did you hear my shoulder?
Yeah, I did. Go ahead.
All right. This one is one of the very lengthy ones. So, lock in.
I'm locked. Locked and ready.
And I think anybody who's a fan of Broadway musicals might enjoy this one as well. So built in 1765 as a summer retreat for the family of British Colonel Roger Morris, the original property consisted of 50 modern city blocks and was located on the ancestral homeland of the Lenape people called Lenape-Hoking. I hope I'm saying that right. I know Lenape is right because there's an audiobook I've listened to it mentions it, so I know that's correct. That the home was named Mount Morris and was likely constructed by enslaved laborers whom the Morrises either owned or rented, and they worked alongside free black workers, indentured servants, and other hired workers. It is hard to imagine now, but Upper Manhattan consisted of farmland, forests, and rocky outcroppings. And Morris wanted a summer home in this area in order to escape the congestion of the downtown city. Now, I think it's just as congested.
Right.
The house served as a tavern for a number of years until Stephen and Eliza Jumel purchased the house in 1810. The couple embarked on a series of major renovations which were reflective of contemporary 19th century designs. The family would own the home for about 10 years until 1775 when, so the Morris family owned the property. Some of this got out of order somehow. Morris was a loyalist, and he left for London in order to avoid bringing attention to his family during the turbulent early revolutionary times. His wife Mary and 4 of their 5 children and their servants traveled to their old family home in order to escape the escalating conflict of the war. On September 5th, 1776, General George Washington occupied the abandoned house with his officers and domestic staff after losing a battle and the Continental Army's retreat from Brooklyn. The size and location made the house an ideal location for military headquarters during the Revolutionary War. Washington remained in residence for 5 weeks, and the Battle of Harlem Heights occurred on September 16th, 1776, in the area south of the house, in what is now known as Manhattan Valley, and it marked the first battle in which the British retreated from the Continental Army. After Washington departed, the mansion served as headquarters for troops at various other times until Evacuation Day in 1783, including English General Sir Henry Clinton and the German mercenaries known as the Hessians. The mansion is one of the few remaining structures in the entire nation to have housed members of all sides of the conflict. Upon the end of the war, Mary Morris was only one of 3 women tried for treason in New York, and the property was seized by the New York Legislature's Act of Attainder in 1779, which was written by her cousin, John Jay.
Okay.
The house and the property were sold in order to offset the war debt incurred by the American people, and between 1783 and 1810, the house served as a tavern. It also served as a stagecoach stop and inn for travelers before it was abandoned entirely, and the acreage surrounding the property was used by tenant farmers. July 1790 saw President Washington visiting the house with some members of his future cabinet and their wives and families for a lavish meal on the grounds surrounding. Guests included notable names such as Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Abigail Adams, Alexander Hamilton, Eliza Schuyler Hamilton, Martha Washington, Henry Knox, Lucy Knox, and Lucy Knox. And then Washington journaled about the visit and described the house as being in, quote, in possession of a common farmer at the time. 20 years later, the Jumel family purchased the property. Stephen Jumel was a French wine merchant who married American Eliza Bowen in 1804, and 6 years later they purchased Mount Morris. The couple embarked on a major renovation in order to modernize and repair the residence that had been abandoned for nearly 30 years. Stephen died in 1832, and Eliza remarried in the home's front parlor in 1833 to former Vice President Aaron Burr.
That was a quick turnaround.
Eliza filed for divorce 4 months into the marriage and hired Alexander Hamilton Jr. as one of her attorneys. And this is honestly kind of funny because Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton were 2 founding fathers who had a rivalry that ran deep.
Okay.
So I got really, I'm not a I don't know much about Hamilton at all, but this got me a little excited. I was excited about this one. While the 2 men had much in common, they were both orphans, both fought in the American Revolution, both found political success early in life. They were also vastly different. Hamilton was said to be somewhat cocky, confident, and energetic, while Burr was, quote, willing to wait for it. Hamilton's success eclipsed Burr's, and tensions worsened and led to their dueling in Weehawken, New Jersey on July 11, 1804, in what would become the most famous duel in American history.
Is it though?
The sitting vice president, Aaron Burr, shot and fatally wounded former Treasury Secretary Alexander Hamilton. Yeah. That is quite literally the most famous duel.
I would think it would be
There's a whole Broadway musical about it.
I mean, yeah, I guess it wasn't. I'm thinking, like, to me, the most famous one would be, like, you know, with Doc Holliday and all that, but it wasn't really a duel. That was like a shootout. So, yes, continue.
And this is like this sitting vice president of the United States. Following the duel, Alexander Hamilton was lionized for his achievements, and Aaron Burr, who had returned to New York City expecting a, quote, hero's welcome for defending his honor, lived in the shadow of Hamilton for the rest of his life and ended up enmeshed in a series of scandals that ended his once promising career.
Damn.
He was met with public outcry for the killing of Hamilton and faced potential murder charges, and so he fled to the South. The charges were eventually dropped, and he returned to Washington to finish his term as VP.
Okay.
We've been doing this a while. Burr passed away in a Staten Island rooming house the day the divorce from Eliza was to be finalized on September 14th, 1836, from underlying stroke conditions.
Okay.
Eliza never remarried again, but she did continue to aspire to be part of New York society. She converted the residence into her primary residence and would summer in Saratoga, New York. Eliza died on July 16th, 1865, and left her estate to her sister's children and left a sibling. This statement was a little, and I couldn't find much to clear up this statement, but one of the siblings was left out, William Chase. He was left out of the will entirely. And there was a highly contentious battle over the estate that lasted for 17 years and ultimately reached the Supreme Court.
Dang.
The Chases sold the home in 1887. The property changed hands a couple of times in the years following until 1903, when the wife of the last private owner, General Ferdinand Earle, campaigned for the home to be preserved as a historic site. Do your knuckles hurt?
All the time.
That's why.
I'm at least not right in the mic doing it.
The city of New York purchased the building and almost 2 acres from Lily and their children for $235,000. Adjusted for inflation, this would be approximately $8.8 million today. Today, the mansion and its neighboring buildings are part of the Jumel Terrace Historic District, and it serves as a museum. However, it is temporarily closed as of March of 2026 for some vital restorations. Restoration began in 2021 as a smaller $2.7 million effort, which has grown to an approximately $10 million budget with a 2-phase restoration project that will address some critical preservation and accessibility needs. The mansion will be closed to the public on weekdays for about 6 months for the restoration of the roof, but there is still a guided walking tour. There is a virtual tour that is linked in the sources portion of this description down in our nether regions, and special events will be hosted, as well as the Roger Morris Park will still remain open to park goers. And what I found interesting was when I saw pictures of it, because you think it's a mansion, right?
Yeah.
It's not very big. It's not like visually, it does not appear to be. It's not as big as some of the other mansions that we've talked about. But as we have gathered, the Morris Jumel Mansion has seen a lot of American history and tragedy in its years, and houses and properties such as this tend to attract paranormal activity.
I mean, it really isn't that big.
No, it's
not.
It's
beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have some from that same time period, or Civil War period houses that were quote mansions that are about that size around here somewhere.
Honestly, it doesn't look much bigger than that Craig Font place that. Oh wait, you were there. Sorry, I thought you were there for half a second. You didn't go.
What?
Craig Font.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Well, we went on a field trip in high school.
To there.
To Craig Font? Let me look.
Craig Font's in Goodletts, not Goodlettsville, Gallatin. It's out there.
Oh, no. Hold on. No, we've 100% been there.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, we went on a field trip. We did a field trip with because I had American history
and that one teacher that had okay. I can't believe they let y'all go that far.
We did an entire day of Civil War locations. We also went to the Sam what's that one? It's Sam something house.
Sam Davis home?
Yes. We also went there that same day. And we went to a Civil War cemetery. And then
I can't believe y'all went that far because that's out there.
And then the Dingleberry that your husband is friends with his brother.
Okay, yeah.
He almost got left behind at the Backyard Burger.
It's funny that I knew exactly who you were talking about when you said Dingleberry, and I was like, wait, and then I knew exactly where that was going.
But anyway, In the Morris Jumel mansion, there have been rumors of a spirit in the former bedroom of Aaron Burr, which include reports, even though he only lived there for about 4 months, includes reports of disembodied voices and floorboards creaking after hours when no one should be in the room. A paranormal investigator recorded an EVP of a disembodied voice, and mansion staff were divided on what the voice seems to be saying. Some claim the voice is saying, "I love you," but others hear they're laughing at you.
Did you hear it? Did you find it?
No, I didn't hear it. It is likely, usually when they say, like, we've caught this, like, they don't link it.
I'm gonna see if I can find it.
Okay. I had a little burp. It is likely that if there is a culprit for the voices, it would be Eliza Jumel. Most people who walk away from the Morris Jumel mansion with a ghostly encounter describe someone that matches Eliza's description. She is typically dressed in 18th century clothing, generally white, and is said to be quite chatty. Once in the 1960s, a group of children, I've heard this story. A group of children had visited the mansion and were waiting on the front lawn to enter, and a red-headed woman came out of the narrow second-story balcony and told the children to be quiet because her husband was sick. Assuming she was just an actress, the children did not pay much attention to her. However, the curator of the museum brought the children through the tour and into Eliza's bedroom, and they all pointed to the mannequin and started yelling that they had seen her.
Oh.
The curator was certain that no one else was inside the mansion at the time.
I may have found it, by the way.
Oh, did you? Okay. On one occasion, there was a seance held inside of her room, which was broadcast on the radio, and it was cut off because of all of the foul language.
Oh.
It seems that Eliza's spirit has settled down these days and prefers the company of females in the mansion. Others have claimed that her presence causes other spirits to fight over her, namely her two husbands. The spirit of Stephen is said to be heard moaning in agony, possibly reliving the final moments of his life. Some have claimed to even see the spirit of George Washington from time to time. George Washington is a busy man. He's all over the place. It is also said that Eliza herself complained that the house was haunted, and that she said she heard and saw things that she could not explain. Her complaints were often waved off as her going mad near the end of her life. But now more people than ever are convinced that she might have been onto something. As we know, the mansion played a role in the Revolutionary War, and there was a Hessian soldier who lost his life on the stairs of the mansion, and it is said that he has been wandering around ever since. Sometimes he appears on the stairs, and on separate occasions, two school teachers have been scared by the sight of an American soldier walking out of a painting during the day.
No.
And one of the teachers is said to have fainted.
I'd shit my pants.
Both the Morris family and the Jumel family had servants, and one of the females was caught having an affair with someone in the family. Historically speaking, I'm not really sure if there's much truth to this, and also historically speaking, it is said that it is likely that an affair would not have been entirely consensual on her side, as that's just historically speaking, that's just what happened. But it is said that she committed suicide by jumping from one of the windows, and her spirit is claimed to be seen on the third floor where the servants' quarters were. The voices of two women laughing have been heard in the basement where the kitchen was, and perhaps it is simply two servants having a little fun while performing their duties. Museum staff maintain a record called the Book of Haunts of all mysterious encounters at the mansion. I love this.
Right.
There is, in fact, a waiting list that you can join for upcoming paranormal programming. And their website boasts that it is perceived by many to be a paranormal site and has attracted academics and investigators such as Hans Holzer, Zach Bagans, I'm going to in parentheses, I put yuck, and the Tennessee Wraith Chasers, and now possibly you if you can get in there. um, probably once the renovations are done. But yeah, I love that one. Like once I figured out, because I was like Eliza, I was like I've heard that name in a song, and then
Right.
I was like, oh, and then I was like, oh, she hired the son of the guy that her husband she's trying to get rid of killed as her attorney for her
Right.
divorce. I thought that was hilarious.
Do we want to listen to this?
Sure, play it.
Me. It also says, because you said that there were two men fighting, they're also saying that it could possibly say he doesn't love you.
Oh.
So, there's that. Keep that in mind.
Let's see if anything's related over here. Should we go to Let's see if anything's related over here.
It does sound like he loves you.
Let's see if anything's related over here.
Should we go to
I don't like that though.
I could hear I could get they're gonna laugh at you, but yeah. I hear he loves you.
Yeah, I hear he loves you.
I don't hear
I
doesn't.
love you. Yeah, I don't hear doesn't. It's definitely 3.
Well, it was just played over and over.
Yeah, I know, but like,
yeah.
I mean, it's like 3 words. Like,
yeah.
It's like, he loves you. It's like that.
That's pretty cool. I'm interested about your next one, just based off the headline or the
this
name.
One's dark.
Okay, well. Now we're going to move into notable firsts or inventions that connected to New York, okay? Keep in mind, a lot of these I took as face value. If you guys have other news, let us know, okay? One of these for sure, I looked into it because TJ was immediately like, I don't know about that.
That's wrong.
But everything that I could find told me that this was correct. So, anyway, the first one, New York City briefly served as the first capital of the United States in 1785, where George Washington was inaugurated at Federal Hall before the capital moved to Philadelphia in 1790. The first successful commercial steamboat voyage was made in 1807 by the Claremont, which traveled along the Hudson River between New York City and Albany. The first American chess tournament was held in New York in 1843, helping establish the game's popularity in the United States. The first women's rights convention in the U.S. took place in Seneca Falls in 1848, launching the organized women's suffrage movement. Belva Lockwood became the first woman to argue a case before the U.S. Supreme Court and later ran for president in the late 1800s. I feel like we've talked about her before.
Who is it?
Belva Lockwood.
It does sound familiar.
Niagara Falls became the first official state park in the United States in 1885, opening the area to public access. The first roller coaster in America debuted at Coney Island in 1884 as a wooden switchback railway. Brooklyn opened the first children's museum in the U.S. in 1899, pioneering hands-on educational exhibits for kids. So, like, they started, I would venture to say they started the STEAM movement almost, or STEM, whichever way you want to look at it.
Women in STEM.
Right. Hold on. New York became the first state to require automobile license plates in 1901, though early versions were homemade by vehicle owners. The first 3D film shown to a paying audience premiered in New York City in 1915 at the Astor Theater. The first public brewery in America opened in Lower Manhattan in 1633, though it only operated for a few years. The teddy bear was popularized in Brooklyn in 1902 after a story involving President Theodore Roosevelt inspired a local candy shop owner to create and sell the toy. One of the earliest forms of modern toilet paper was introduced in New York City in 1857 by Joseph Gayety. While later improvements like perforated rolls and dispensers were developed in Albany in 1891 by Seth Wheeler. This is the one that I had to look up. America's first pizzeria, Lombardi's, opened in 1905 in New York City and helped popularize the coal-fired pizza in the U.S. And then the first credit card system was created in Brooklyn in 1946, allowing customers to charge purchases through their bank. You can go to your next one.
All right.
How many more do you have?
I have
Two more? Okay.
Yeah. All right. My next one is built in 1856. The building itself is much like any of the other revivalist Greek brownstones in Greenwich Village, but this one in particular is now known as the House of Death, and it has lived many lives. It has been home to many tenants since 1856, one being James Borman Johnston, who founded a reading room, library, and the famed 10th Street Studio, which is a collective of studios, galleries, and annual funding for resident artists, which was incredibly unique in New York City at the time. When he died, his wealthy widow moved their daughters into the brownstone in the 1880s. The property seems to have started earning its poor reputation after the Johnston family moved out, and the first recorded incident of bad luck occurred in 1897. Cycling celebrity Fred H. Andrew was the new owner of 14 West 10th Street, and he ran into a moment of bad luck of reckless bicycle riding. He hit a boy of around 8 years old who ended up with a broken leg, and subsequently, Andrew was arrested for the incident. Starting off a little mild, okay? The house's most famous tenant was Mark Twain. He was at the tail end of his writing career, but at the height of his success, and he lived here for just over a year. He was battling depression and bankruptcy, but churned out some of his most rushed but now classic works. Twain was a noted skeptic of the paranormal world, but he wrote about an experience he had while in his new home. One evening, he witnessed a large piece of kindling move by itself. He thought maybe a rat had moved the wood, and he shot at it with his gun, as any sane person would do inside their home.
Right.
The kindling fell to the ground, so this is like assuming that this piece of kindling was just in the air.
Right.
It fell to the ground and was surrounded by few drops of blood. Now, at this time, rats outnumbered the people living in New York City, and they're still infested. But the house was not noted for having been infested at the time. Twain maintained that the blood had to be that of a rat and could not have possibly been anything else. Twain did not have great memories of the house. However, it is said that he can be seen roaming the stairwell of the House of Death. And occupants have since claimed to see him trudging up and down the stairs, which is reported to be the most haunted portion of the home. It is thought that he is also responsible for the disembodied footsteps that can be heard everywhere in vacated portions of the home. In the late 1930s, a woman and her daughter said they bumped into Twain's spirit, who was perched on a window seat. They said he nonchalantly approached them and said, "My name is Clemens, and I have a problem here I gotta settle." Moments later, he vanished into thin air. In 1957, Jan Bryant Bartell and her daughter took up residence of a spacious apartment on the top floor. The actress, psychic, and writer moved into the apartment, which had once been the space for servants. Bartell claimed that almost immediately there was a monstrous moving shadow that would follow her around the apartment. She wrote once that she had seen the ghostly figure of a man standing in the hallway. She recounted her brave attempt to reach out and touch what she was seeing and felt something, but nothing like she had ever felt before. She described it as a substance without substance, and this is in quotes. Chilly, damp, diaphanous,
Okay.
as marsh mist or a cloud of ether. I could feel my fingers freeze at the tips. They were numb, and yet they tingled. In the split second between contact and recoil, and the scent came. Fragile and languorous, and sweet, unbearable, cloyingly sweet. The unusual scent was not the only odd scent reported while the Bartell family was in residence at the house of death. Food that had not been purchased by them would appear already rotting as if it had been sitting for days on their table. Their pets would often become aggressive out of nowhere for seemingly no reason, as if they had been disturbed by unseen forces in the building. Bartell employed a paranormal expert to investigate the occurrences, and the investigator confirmed that there were upwards of 22 spirits in the house of death. Besides Mark Twain, there was also brace yourself, woman in white, a young girl, and a gray cat. Bartell wrote of her experiences in her book Spindrift, Spray from a Psychic Sea, and vividly recounts what it was like living there. An excerpt says, like a game of 10 little Indians, which this is not my term, this is hers, began, which I think comes from an Agatha Christie story. But the deaths began to occur in the house. The first to die was a dog, Jan's own beloved Penelope. But within 24 hours, she was to learn of the death of the first human tenant. Whether by heart attacks, suicide, or murder, the deaths came in rapid succession. In terror, with 9 little Indians gone, the Bartells moved far away from Greenwich Village, but the haunting followed them. After the completion of Spindrift, Jan Bartell became the 10th. Shortly after completing the manuscript, Bartell died in what one might consider to be mysterious circumstances. She had suffered from depressive episodes, and there were rumors of suicide attempts, but I don't know. Her death gave credence to the legend, which I'm sure she would have loved, to the house of death and the curse that it held. There are still many skeptics, however, and deaths go unsolved in New York City regularly. On November 2nd, 1987, the House of Death saw yet another tragedy. At around 6:40 a.m., this is where it gets a little heavy. Just going to go ahead and warn you. 911 operators received a call from children's author and editor Hedda Nussbaum. She said that her 6-year-old daughter Lisa wasn't breathing. An ambulance was sent to the residence right away. When paramedics arrived, they were greeted with a disturbing scene. Lisa was lying nude and unresponsive on the kitchen floor, and her brother Mitchell was tied to his playpen and soaked in his own urine. Nussbaum was covered in bruises and had several broken bones. Investigators also uncovered marijuana, cocaine, hashish, and over 20 crack pipes and $25,000 in cash in the apartment. Unfortunately, paramedics were unable to revive Lisa on the way to the hospital, and later autopsy revealed that her cause of death was repeated blunt force trauma to the skull. Both Hedda Nussbaum, she was also not Lisa's biological mother, and Lisa's father, attorney Joel Steinberg, were arrested and subsequently charged with first-degree murder. He was able to get it knocked down to first-degree manslaughter for his charge. Steinberg was paroled in 2004 on a mandatory parole after being denied parole 5 times after 17 years. And as of 2017, he was still living in Harlem. And the interview in the New York Post about it is actually heinous. And I hope this man dies suffering. It is linked in the description should you feel inclined to read that. But for all intents and purposes, it appears that Hedda herself was a survivor of his abuses. And when he was released from prison in 2004, she vanished from New York City and changed her name. She worked for many years as an advocate for domestic violence survivors, and when the author of one of the articles that I read tried to reach out to her via someone that she thought might know Hedda, she was told that Hedda does not wish to discuss her life at all with anybody for any reason.
You know what? Good for her, though.
It's a bit difficult to move forward toward ghostly happenings after that, but we will persist. After this time in the house's history, neighboring houses began to report paranormal experiences. The apartment complex next door had residents noticing flickering lights, and several residents reported a ghostly figure of a woman in a long gown who wanders the halls. A photographer that lived in the building had apparently been seeing her float through doors for about 20 years, for more than 20 years. The House of Death is currently privately owned and occupied. The stairwell is said to continue to be the primary location of ghostly activity, with a number of spirits making their presence known on the dark, wide antique stairs. If you didn't know any better, you would assume that the brownstone is just another elegant home in Greenwich Village, but the echoes of the many people who have left part of their souls in the fabric of the building are said to remain.
Look how cute she is over here.
She is very cute. She got one eye open peeping at me.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, cutie. Aww. She's going to be a domestic terrorist later.
Okay. Back to the first. The first air conditioner was invented in 1902 by Willis Carrier in Brooklyn to control humidity in a printing plant. The first automated banking machine, or ATM, it was the ATM prototype, was tested in New York City in 1939. Nikola Tesla demonstrated early remote control technology in New York in 1898 using a radio-controlled boat. The first air-powered subway prototype, was known as the pneumatic railway, was built under Broadway in 1870. The first fish hatchery in the United States was established in Caledonia in 1870 and remains one of the largest in operation. The first dental chair designed for patient comfort was invented in Syracuse in the 1840s. The safety hammer, designed to prevent the head from flying off the handle, was developed in Norwich in the 1800s. The Still snowplow was invented in Clayton to handle heavy snowfall in upstate New York. We need one of those down here. We need something better down here. Modern paper shopping bag was popularized in Saratoga County as a cheaper alternative to reusable cloth bags. The fuzzy pipe cleaner, so like those cool little things, you know. It was likely invented in Rochester in the late 1800s and later became popular for crafts. Made me think of Gemma's 100th day shirt that we made for her in kindergarten. You remember that?
Mm-mm.
It was like a girl on her shirt that we made out of pipe cleaners with hair, and it was 100 strands of hair. And they were all straight and nice at the beginning of the day.
Oh,
but by the end of the day, it was crazy.
Yeah.
The wooden golf tee was invented in 1899 by Dr. George Franklin Grant of Oswego. The tuxedo suit style originated in Tuxedo Park in 1886 when a tailless dinner jacket was introduced at a formal event.
But that was scandalous.
Brace yourself. Velveeta processed cheese was developed in Monroe in 1918 as a smooth, spreadable cheese product.
I would not call it that, but
I do like Velveeta though. Like in certain
it's good
cases,
for certain things, but like in general,
I could honestly
it's
eat
basically
it like
plastic.
straight off the block though.
Ew.
I have.
I would never.
Like if I make there's been times when I make
The
macaroni and
texture of
cheese
it's
with it.
too spongy. You know what my nana uses?
What?
Cheese whiz. Okay, in a jar. Pretty good.
That's what they use for Philly cheesesteaks. Pepto-Bismol was first created in Norwich in 1901 as a treatment for digestive issues. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Shit's nasty, but it works.
Yeah.
They have gummies now.
When I was a kid, I used to just drink it.
Ugh. They have gummies now, though.
Probably why
They're
I couldn't
not-
quite stand it.
they're not great
I was
tasting.
gonna say, they're probably not as effective.
Anyway, hold on. I got a hiccup that's
I
stuck.
was gonna say, are you gonna throw up?
No. The Little Trees car air fresheners were invented in Watertown in 1952 to eliminate odors in vehicles.
Nice. I like that. You good? Oh, is the air blowing?
No. Anyway, you can go on with your next one.
You forgot something. The garbage plate in Rochester, New York.
I might not be done. I'm not done.
Oh,
I've got more after your last one.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well,
I mean, you can.
We'll see.
If it's not on the list,
I got an opinion. I
don't even know what you're talking about.
Jenna Marbles, the video where she makes her boyfriend her favorite meal, and it's the garbage plate, and she's like, everybody says that so and so makes it the best, but she's like, hot take, it's Henrietta Heights.
I don't think it's on here. It's not.
I once made a garbage plate. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Oh, and two, don't let me forget. I wrote it down, but don't let me forget. But I have a personal experience to share.
Okay. All right. My last one. Let me put on some lip balm.
A little lip balm for your crusty crusts. You remember that? What was it, Glozell? That did so. Like, was it a Vine that she did, or was it before
on YouTube
then?
And Vine, I think, because she's also the one that originally did the cinnamon challenge.
Yes, and
then I almost died. She also one time ate a hot pepper and didn't know it.
But like that, when she did the lip, I went around walking around saying, "Let me get a little lip balm for my crusty crusts," all the time. That was my thing.
All right. In Frewsburg, New York, deep in the woods, just past a small V-shaped ravine, sits a low wooded area tucked into a valley. The road turns to a lane, which is like a paved road, and the pavement turns to dirt, and then the lane reduces to a path, and then by foot in a dense wooded area that grows increasingly remote will lead to Guernsey Hollow. There are no landmarks, and the walking track is the only guide. Ascending a small rise, a rusted metal fence will loom in the distance, uneven and twisted. Tucked beyond the fence is a cemetery. In 2017, New York Makers Magazine developed a list of the most haunted places in New York State, and Guernsey Hollow landed in the second spot. And here comes my other Amityville house mention. That wretched Amityville house made first, which immediately discredits this publication in my eyes, but nonetheless. Guernsey Hollow is a well-known destination for paranormal enthusiasts who don't mind the trek to get there. There are many independent stories of sightings and experiences. There are a lot of YouTube videos as well, like a lot of YouTube videos. And that's about as far as you're going to get because, but by every account available, this place is very haunted. Beyond the YouTube videos and like the one article that I found, is that nearly every article I clicked on to try to get any actual history for this place, like why is this here? Was there a town here or whatever? All of the sites were either dead end sites that just did not work, or would take me to websites that were definitely not what I clicked on. Like, I would click on it and then it would take me, like, one took me to like an Indian website and I was like, this isn't even in English. And it's like wanting me to buy something.
Oh.
That I have no idea what it was. This doesn't happen often when I do research. Like, I'm usually able to find something, whether it be Reddit stories or something. And I don't like often run into like continuous like link after link on the very first page of Google being like either this doesn't work, here's this random Indian website,
right, a bunch of bullshit,
right. But anyway, it's weird when that does happen. But the reports from the Hollow range from strange noises to apparitions and various things that go bump in the night. I'm not really sure I'm a big fan of where the legends surrounding this cemetery stem, But our frenemy legend says that there was once a developmentally disabled 7-year-old girl, and I have updated the language of this because it was not worded that way. Who she was either stoned to death or hung in the cemetery by her ancestors in or around the late 1800s. And I'm only feeling comfortable to share this. I almost picked something else entirely because of this, because I'm like, I don't like that.
Right.
But because I don't believe there's any validity to the story, because otherwise I think it's just simply it's a super messed up story that's made up to just scare people and make people think it's haunted. But it is said that there is a large stone cross at the top of the small hill that she will appear by, and this is a favored location for the campfires of visitors who are brave enough to get out there during the night. I also used the incorrect version of there. It was midnight. I'm sorry. If visitors,
I didn't even see it. Thanks for pointing that out.
You're welcome.
I wish I would have, because I would have called it out.
If visitors are to be believed, the spectral girl will put up bright orbs. She follows people around the cemetery grounds and has been known to both laugh at gawkers of her alleged gravesite, and on occasion she has been said to even scratch visitors. It is said that she was buried right where she was murdered, and without a tragic story, the boneyard wouldn't be nearly as spooky, would it? But there are many more graves of young children, which is said to contribute to the overall uneasy atmosphere here. Some of the other phenomena that visitors have claimed to experience is a little boy that wanders around the cemetery and will follow visitors to the entrance gate before he disappears. Another classic, Lady in White. I think we've hit a Lady in White in almost every one of these.
It's always a lady in white.
Who will hover above some of the tombstones. And there have also been sightings of an elderly woman who glares at visitors in judgment. She's probably like, y'all are messed up for coming out here because y'all think this little girl was murdered. This little girl with developmental problems. Electronics will oftentimes not operate properly within the cemetery fence for seemingly no verifiable reason. And this includes flashlights, cameras, phones, and even vehicles have been known to stall on the way out of the hollow. There are also reports of a consistent loud moaning that cannot be tracked down to a source. And writing, which I've mentioned in our New Jersey episode, there's a writer who wrote for both Weird US and Weird New Jersey named Chris Gethard. And he wrote of this site, I am fascinated by every site I have visited in the course of researching and writing Weird New York. But none have intimidated me and frightened me as much as the Guernsey Hollow Cemetery. My trip there was easily one of the more chilling experiences I have had in my entire life, including my 5 years in the employ of the Weird New Jersey / Weird US family of magazines and books, which have led me to visit hundreds of purportedly haunted sites personally. I don't think words or even pictures can do justice to the atmosphere of this very unique and disturbing place. And it is said that it is very rare that a visitor who enters the grounds of Guernsey Hollow leaves unaffected.
I'm down.
I don't know if I want to hike out there.
I'm down. I'm down. Okay.
That sounds fun, doesn't it?
It does. So, for my last little batch here, Lifesavers candy became widely successful after a New York businessman improved its packaging with foil to prevent melting. Yeah. Not in the microphone.
I turned it down.
Oh.
Did I? No, I didn't. Loud and clear.
Y'all
Loud and clear.
The club sandwich is often credited to Saratoga Springs in the late 1800s. Pie a la mode, pie served with ice cream, was popularized in Cambridge before becoming famous in New York City restaurants. Eggs Benedict, I don't like it.
It's got hollandaise.
Yeah,
sauce. I don't like hollandaise. I don't like that it's yellow.
Was created at the Waldorf Astoria in 1894 and added to its menu shortly after. The Waldorf salad was first served at the Waldorf Astoria in 1896. The Bloody Mary cocktail was refined and popularized at the St. Regis Hotel in New York City. The Tom Collins cocktail was developed in New York in the 1870s following a popular prank trend. Baked Alaska was created at Delmonico's restaurant in 1876.
It wasn't even created in Alaska.
Apparently not. Spaghetti Primavera was popularized at Le Cirque. Or Le Cirque. Is it Le Cirque? Le Cirque?
Le Cirque.
That's what I thought. In 1977. This one baffled me because I thought for sure this was a Southern thing.
Mm-hmm.
Chicken and waffles became a signature late night dish in Harlem in the 1930s. It does make sense, though.
It does make sense, yeah.
The Reuben sandwich is often attributed...
Not to, like, stereotype.
Right.
I just want to say that.
As I started
but
to go
like,
off of it.
It does sound like something that would have been started in the South, but it makes sense that it would have been, because it's a meal that is predominantly enjoyed by the Black Americans, and it's pretty good.
It is. I love it.
So put a little
I've
syrup
cooked
on
it.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But like, it makes sense that it would come from a predominantly Black neighborhood of Harlem. Like, that 100% makes sense.
The Reuben sandwich is often attributed to a New York City delicatessen in the early 1900s. Hot dogs gained widespread popularity at Coney Island when served in buns by Charles Feltman.
Funny story about hot dogs. All leading up to this book con that Pixie's at, right? Mm-hmm. She's been so excited to get to New York City, have a hot dog. Mm-hmm. She's like, this is hot dog city. I'm excited. Everybody in the Discord that has been to New York City is like, do not eat a hot dog. Don't do it, because you will regret it. Because it's like food poison city. It's going to give you the shits.
Yeah.
So was super bummed. Right. She was like, there's hot dog carts everywhere. This sucks.
This one shocked me too. General Tso's chicken, or Tso's chicken, however you want to say it,
mm-hmm.
became popular in the U.S. after being introduced in New York in the 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
The Cronut, which is a croissant donut hybrid, was created in New York City in 2013. Frozen hot chocolate was invented at Serendipity 3 in New York City. Scrabble was developed in Queens in 1931 by architect Alfred Mosher Butts. Mr. Potato Head was created by a New Yorker and became the first toy advertised on television in 1952. Sweet and Low artificial sweetener was developed in Brooklyn as a powdered form of saccharin. Is that right?
That sounds right, yeah.
Which I will say, as a kid, I loved Sweet and Low. I just eat that shit out of the packet. It's so good. Yeah. If I was gonna get
because shit like that's like, listen, the thing I'm
gonna get cancer from it, I'm sure.
No, the thing I'm learning in like weight loss class is like going through this is like those because it's addictive, first of all, because it's a sugar substitute. But like if you like look into it, so like Sweet and Low, you might as well just have regular sugar, because it is like 10,000 times more sweet than just regular sugar. And that's how, and it triggers that signal in your brain.
Listen.
That key, because like you remember, I don't know if because you still watch Shane Dawson a lot.
Oh yeah.
But like, I don't know if you remember back in the day when he was hospitalized because he had too much Splenda.
Yeah.
Because it will kill you.
He went on somebody else's podcast not too terribly long ago, and I think he talked about it there, or maybe it was on his podcast that he talked about it.
Yeah, like he was addicted to Splenda.
Yeah, or maybe it was in his book because I just read his first book.
I think he mentioned it in there a lot. Yeah.
I think that's what it was. We'd go to restaurants.
Wild.
And, you get water with lemon, and then, like, you make lemonade with it off of the sugar on the table. And I would use Sweet and Low. It was the best. That was my all-time favorite.
I like how you say that like everybody does that. I ain't never done that.
Really?
Yeah.
Girl.
I don't like lemonade.
I love lemonade.
I don't like lemon.
Anyway, and for my last one, and this one was given to me, but I also found it here. I've got a friend that is from New York City. She's from the Bronx,
Nice.
And she gave me a couple things. But the hip hop culture originated in New York City and became a global cultural movement.
Yeah. We were talking about that on the way back from our road trip.
Yeah.
Or on the way to our road trip, because I was like, that makes sense. I was like, and then I said I had listened to, because there's a podcast called No Dogs in Space. If you listen to the last podcast, you know about No Dogs in Space. It's Marcus and Carolina, and they did a whole series on the Beastie Boys. And then they like dove into like the history of, because the Beastie Boys has like hip hop.
You know what that made me think of?
What's the term I'm looking for? I wouldn't consider it 100% hip hop music, but it influence.
Yeah.
It's got hip hop influence. And they were like, there's like, I was like, it's just so cool how much music actually like everybody talks about Nashville being Music City, USA. No, New York City and Los Angeles are like the two biggest primary sources of a lot of the genres of music that we enjoy.
See, what gets me is like we're known for country music, but it's like it didn't even originate here.
No,
it just kind of skyrocketed here. We've got the
and it's also another one that is not white people music.
No.
We just took it.
Yeah. But you talking about Beastie Boys? You know what that made me think of?
You gotta fight
with us on the zipper, screaming at the top of our lungs.
And now every time like Girls comes on my playlist, I'm like, girls, all I really want is girls.
Anyway.
2 at a time, I want girls.
Meanwhile, I wake up this morning. I had to get up like super early this morning for soccer, but I also had therapy this morning. And so I go do my therapy, and then I go lay back down in bed because we had a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And the teacher starts blaring like some hood rat.
I don't think you can. I was gonna say I don't think you can say that anymore.
Whatever, old school. Like I'm talking like old school, like chicken heads.
Oh
yeah,
Lord.
And like he's like, let's see if Mom knows this. I don't know it word for word. I just know bits and pieces. But like my favorite part, always in my face, talking this and that.
That's all I know of that.
And then he plays something else, and I was like, I know, I've heard the song. I don't know the words. And he's like he was disappointed. He goes, well, what about this one? And then then all of a sudden it's Hollywood Undead.
Everywhere I go.
Yes.
I still know all the words to that song.
Me too.
And busted them out in the car the other day.
I saw them live, last year, a year before?
Yeah.
Fantastic. But he apparently played that song for my son.
Oh, great.
And Easton loves it.
Oh, hell.
Loves it.
Well.
He also, because Easton's a huge, he loves Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
He showed Easton old school Jelly Roll.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Haystack showed Easton Haystack. And I was like, God, here we go. I was like, I wasn't listening to that kind of shit back in the day. Like,
no.
Because
I heard about it.
But I
never
listened
to
it. Some rap-ish stuff back in the day, like what was popular.
I kept
cool.
it safe. I listened to 50 Cent.
Yeah.
And
Nelly.
Chris Brown before he became. I don't listen to Chris Brown anymore.
Right.
Not after what he almost killed her.
Yeah. Well, we listen to the popular stuff.
Yes.
But how many times did I hear you say you can't spell crap without rap?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now I'm like,
some of it's okay.
So I
can handle. But
I get the appeal now. I'm a little more open minded these days. I get the appeal. Is it my cup of tea all the time? No, not really. But that's fine. It's not meant for me.
I did enjoy, I do enjoy, some of it, now, some of the older stuff, or,
You know what's funny? So I was going through my CD collection, and I found a CD that could have it's your handwriting, and it's from, class of 07, and I put it in my CD player, because I was like, I don't know what's on this, and I'm playing it, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. I've never heard this song in my life.
Play that for me before I leave out of here tonight.
I will. I'm almost certain it's your handwriting on that CD.
There's no telling. I did be giving people CDs that I made like all the time. Our family computer had so many viruses.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, LimeWire.
I kept LimeWire hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somewhere there's a hard drive with like a bunch of bootleg LimeWire songs that sound horrible.
TJ still has in his CD case in his truck. He still has like a couple CDs that I burned for him. Like, and this has been like we've been together 15 years now. So God, that sounds crazy because it doesn't seem that long. Wow.
I mean,
how am I old enough to have been in a relationship for 15 years?
That's wild.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Daniel and I are creeping up on 7 years.
See, that sounds like babies. Like,
yeah.
15 years. Anyway, God, I never thought I'd see the day when I could say I've been in a relationship for 15 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, 15 years we've been together, and he still has like CDs that I burned him when we first got together, and that was like as we were seeing that kind of thing phase out, you know.
Yeah.
Are you sick of my farting? Because I'm doing it. Anyway, so I have.
She's like, I need fresh air.
She lives with Daniel. Mine ain't nothing.
Do you want to share them on this episode, or are they like New York involved?
No.
Are they your personal experiences?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to say, do you want to hold them until the beginning of the next episode for the short story?
Yeah. So that'll give you something to look forward to.
Yeah.
So nonprofit of the month.
Yes.
You guys haven't heard us talk about it yet.
No, it's a super secret.
Because it was secret to us until 5 minutes ago. Oh, I just closed the screen that it's on.
She swore up and down. She was like, I got one.
Really
scoured for it. And then she's like,
I was like, I looked for it. I know I did, but I don't remember what it was that I found. And now I can't find it. I don't know where it went.
Gone in the ether.
Apparently it didn't really happen. Okay, so this one is Lupus Research Alliance. So I didn't know. May is Lupus Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
So Lupus Research Alliance, from their president and CEO, building on the organizational strengths and record of success, the Lupus Research Alliance, or the LRA, remains well positioned to drive the discovery and development of novel diagnostics and curative treatments on behalf of people living with lupus. With the field on the cusp of next-generation advances, the mission and work of the LRA could not be more urgent or important. While we have made significant strides, our journey is far from over. To guide our prospective efforts, we have developed a comprehensive 5-year strategic plan that will serve as our guide for the immediate future. The plan encompasses several key components, including our research roadmap, which aligns seamlessly with our organizational key objectives. The strategic plan will ensure that the organization stays laser focused on our desired outcomes. It took a village to get us to this point, so I want to thank all that helped shape our organizational vision for the future, including our committed staff and board of directors. We remain steadfast in our commitment and will relentlessly pursue innovative means to achieve our mission. And that is, with deepest appreciation, Albert T. Roy. So their vision is freeing the world of lupus. Mission is putting people with lupus at the center of all we do. The Lupus Research Alliance drives the discovery and development of next-generation lupus diagnostics and curative treatments through innovative research and collaborations. So they are science-focused, impact-driven, collaborative, equity-focused, patient-centered, innovative, and accountable. So they're, out there doing the hard work, trying to figure out a cure for this situation.
Nice.
And I'm here for it. I personally know a couple people that are affected by this disease.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see an end to it because it is not great.
Yeah. I mean, even because like I said earlier, Selena Gomez has it.
Yeah.
And there's like things that people will like really get down on her about that she can't control.
Right.
That's part of, because like her grip is bad because of it.
There's different types and different stages and different, and it affects everyone.
It causes her weight to fluctuate. I think it's like impacted her speech a little bit. So that sucks. And it
Yeah.
sucks that like people give her shit for it because she's a celebrity.
Right.
And nobody's like, they're like, oh, well, it can't possibly affect her that much. But this is an hour and a half long episode.
Hey, but it was fun.
All right. Go mingle down in our nether regions, in the description. And you can find our list of our socials, which
you can find those nether regions.
If you dig around in there, you can find our Instagram.
And if you look for that light at the end of the tunnel, you'll find TikTok.
You might even find a YouTube.
But you're definitely gonna want to send us those dear wanderers.
Yeah.
At our email, wanderersofweird@gmail.com. Okay, bye.